Welcome to another episode of Bleav in Falcons. Unfortunately, Michael Turner couldn't join us today, but we have somebody much better than Michael Turner, D. Orlando Ledbetter, beat writer for the Falcons, and also beat writer for yours truly. The fact that you had the longevity to be there when me and Mike were there, we've been retired for 10, 15, a long time, and you're still there covering Falcons football on the daily is amazing. It's a testament to the greatness that is D. Orlando Ledbetter, man. But we got to jump into it. A lot's been going on with the Falcons. For those who did not have the ability to see the whole press conference, what are some of the biggest takeaways you got from Matt Ryan's press conference and, more importantly, Stefanski's first press conference to the Falcons fan base?
Yeah, I think the main thing is that Matt got to share his vision for the football team he wants to see, a smart, tough football team on offense, defense, and special teams, which reminded me of the teams you were on, Ovie, and you and Michael and Matt. Those were tough, smart football teams. Y'all didn't make mistakes. Y'all didn't make penalties. Y'all never shot yourselves in the foot. And so sounds like Matt wants to bring it back to that type of brand of football, and is going to do it with Coach Kevin Stefanski, a guy who had some pretty good years in Cleveland, a couple playoff seasons, but given the, just the whole nature of what happens in Cleveland, he wasn't able to sustain that winning in a really tough division, the AFC North. So he did enough to impress Matt and to land the job here in Atlanta with some maybe better support. He can get the Falcons back on the winning side and then be able to keep it going. Kevin Stefanski, new coach of the Atlanta Falcons, one of the great offensive minds, or one of the offensive minds who, is in the league right now. Got to start with Mike Zimmer, up in, actually with Brad Childress in Minnesota, and stayed on for Zimmer, and then got him a job in Cleveland.
All right. Speaking of great offensive minds, one of the biggest things that people are talking about right now is that he has made the decision with that great offensive mind to not use that great offensive mind when it comes to play calling. He's given it to Tommy Rees. And the knee-jerk reaction is people aren't happy with that because they felt that Zach Robinson was not a tenured veteran play caller, and it showed at times in key situations. We wanted to have somebody who knew what he was talking about, who could get the job done. And Stefanski is that guy, but he's given Tommy Rees someone who isn't as, battle-tested. What are your thoughts on that? Because a lot of people are having trouble understanding why we go from somebody who doesn't have experience to someone else who doesn't have experience. In fact, somewhat less.
Yeah, no doubt. I thought that that would be part of the formula. That was certainly the part back in the day when you all went and got Mike Nolan and Dirk Cutter to come in and help Mike Smith out, and that pushed you all real close to the Super Bowl. I thought he would have a veteran coach with veteran coordinator and veteran offensive coordinator, but he's going with a young guy. And but he emphasized that he's going to be a part of getting the game plan ready. So I'm taking that to mean that he's ready to take over if he needs to at times. I know that even Mike Smith took over at times. I remember the game in New Orleans where he kept running Michael. He's like, run the ball. And,
yes, I was there.
Yeah, I know you were. And so maybe it's that type of situation where he's the overseer of everything, but he can take control and step in if he needs to. And, if Tommy's fine and takes off and he has counters when people stop him, and he's ahead of the defenses, then, maybe you got a new coordinator, maybe up-and-coming guy for the future. So we'll see how that works for Coach Kevin. But, yeah, that was a curveball from the press conference yesterday.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that he has a Kyle Shanahan-esque. This is, again, best case scenario. Kyle Shanahan did not have much success in Cleveland, and you could say it was because of the personnel, some of the QBs, Cleveland as a whole. And Kyle Shanahan obviously came to Atlanta, ended up being one of the best OCs that Matt's ever had and this franchise has ever had. So I'm hoping that just because he was not successful in Cleveland doesn't mean he won't be successful in Atlanta, because Lord knows we are building a monster team, and a big part of that monster team is keeping the defense intact. Love keeping Ulbrich. Love keeping the D-line coach. I love the fact that we're not taking away what actually worked, because that was my biggest concern. You fire Raheem, and I'm like, why would you fire a guy who just gave you the best defensive production this team has seen in forever? It didn't make sense to me, but keeping Ulbrich makes me comfortable. It makes most Falcons fans feel good. What are your thoughts on keeping the majority of the defensive play callers and staff intact?
Yeah, that was a great move by Matt Ryan and Coach Kevin to keep so many of those guys around that had success in their first year together. It only makes sense to build up on that success. Was it perfect? No, but they made major strides, certainly in the pass rush game. Defensively against the run, you're 24th, so you got to tighten that up. 13th against
Yes.
the pass. You still gave up too many touchdowns, AJ and
Way too many.
Mike Hughes, so you can tighten up the pass coverage too. But the safeties are dynamite. Xavier Watts and Jesse Bates. Yeah, the
Yeah.
safeties are really happy about the safety position. Xavier Watts and Jesse Bates are really doing a good job back there. Just moving forward, got to stiffen up against the run and tighten up the coverage at CB 1, 2, and 3.
I agree. No, that's absolutely something that if I had that defense when I was playing, I feel like I have a Super Bowl. Matt Ryan was begging for our defense, and now the crazy thing is that our defense is one of our strong suits. Mine is Bijan Robinson; he's our whole offense, but we need to find a way to have our defense, our offense, and our special teams work together. Tell us what you know about this special teams coach, because from what I've seen, he's going to be an improvement upon where we were, but unfortunately, it doesn't take a lot to improve upon one of the worst special teams units in the NFL. And I hate it because Marquise Williams, great guy, but the special teams was not like the Keith Smith days, like back when I played and we had a special teams coordinator who scared people. We were in fear of messing up because we knew that Keith was going to dog cuss us out. And maybe Marquise was too nice of a guy. Do you know anything about the new special teams coordinators coming in and what he can bring to the table?
Yes, Coach Ackerman worked over at Tennessee with some of you all's old coaches, Coach Malarkey and Rabisky, and with who would be the future Falcon coach, Arthur Smith. And I was able to glean that his units were well respected, and he's a smart coach and a good guy. He'll be able to communicate his message to the players. What happened to Marquise was when they went to the new dynamic kickoff rule, I didn't think he got ahead of the game. He was waiting to see how other people were going to play it instead of attacking people. And so then they got behind on how to cover and how to kick. Do you bounce kick? Do you drop kick? Do you touchback kick? And all that stuff was, all that happened over the last 2 years, and they obviously didn't have a good enough plan to cover kicks, and maybe didn't have the people. That's the depth of your roster, because you don't want to have to be playing starters because they're going to be trying to kind of halfway go. They're not trying to
Yep.
get hurt. So
Yep.
you want the
I've been
hungry
there.
guys out there. And, maybe you pull up more guys from the practice squad and make them available to go down there and cover kicks. He never, whatever the plan was, he never came up with one. And that cost him his job. So, but Ackerman's ahead of the game. He was running back kicks down in Miami with Malik Washington out of Parkview High in Virginia. And they were covering pretty good down there. You can't give the special teams coach credit for the 93% kicker or the punter, but the coverage is what how I grade the special teams coordinators. If you could pin people back and take a couple possessions away in the short returns. If they got to go an extra 10 yards, that's 4 extra plays. Maybe they make mistakes at the end and can't get in the field goal range or something. So, but this
Yeah.
guy's supposed to be pretty good. Ovie, he should do a good job.
No, I'm looking forward to it. So, I respectfully disagree against the you can't blame him for the kicker. We should have, and I love Young Wei Koo, but we should have been addressing that before the season started. We lost multiple games because of the kicker, not just Young Wei, but the next guy, forget him with the glasses that we had, Parker Romo. And thank God we had a kicker that could make kicks. It's crazy that you ask a kicker to do the thing that he's paid to do and he doesn't. You're just so relieved because we were having NFL kickers miss kicks that high school kickers would make. Like it wasn't like a 50-yarder. Like some of these 25, 30-yarders, Falcons kickers were missing, and we lost one game away from the playoffs. So everything matters. And if you're not kicking, I understand, but you're choosing the kicker. I would like to think the head coach values the special teams coordinator's decision, and we made a lot of wrong ones. But now we have a new special teams coach. We have excitement. We have an opportunity. I think it's great. But we also have a future that you are looking into on behalf of the Falcons somewhat in the Senior Bowl where you're at right now. Who are the Falcons thinking about? I know it's a little early for the draft, but what are some of the young talent that you think the Falcons could potentially take advantage of? And is there a position that's kind of shown up early that you feel like we're going to spend a lot of time in when it comes to bringing new talent into our organization?
Yeah, no doubt. We'll hear from the new GM here soon on that, but you got to look at the running back spot, the tight end defensive tackle, and the cornerback spot. There's a kid, Dalen Everett from Georgia, one of the top corners. He's down here. Adam Randall, he's a big running back out of Clemson, 6'2", 230. Tyler Algier is supposed to be, might be leaving in free agent, so you need a power back. We're going to look at him and all the running backs down here. There's a tight end, Joe Lee out of NC State that everybody's raving about down here. We'll look at him because, Kyle Pitts is for free agency too. So, and then you want a depth at that position too. So, somebody that could catch too and block, how important that is. The tight end position, running back position, and I haven't gotten deep into the cornerbacks, but you can never have enough cornerbacks. So I'm adding a cornerback every year. So and I'm adding one in the draft, and I'm going to try to find 2 or 3 college undrafted guys to come in here and see if they can get better and make the team.
I love it, man. You are obviously very close to the team, being the beat writer. You're there where you have the pulse of the team. Talk about the free agency situation that will determine a lot of our draft situation. Do you think Kyle Pitts will stay with Stefanski? Do you think Tyler Algier will stay? I'm a guy who's like, these guys are going to go after the money with our cap situation. We're not keeping any free agents. I just don't see us keeping any real, top tier free agents because other teams have the ability to pay him more as a player. I'm not giving a hometown discount. None of these guys are giving hometown discounts. Falcons can afford to pay top dollar to keep anybody, so we won't, and we'll lose them. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the top 3 are Kyle Pitts, Tyler Algier, and Caden Ellis. He was your number 1 rated defender.
Huge.
And David Oyamata is getting up there a little bit, but, good pro. So Tyler Algier could definitely get more money elsewhere. Kyle Pitts, possibly. You could franchise tag him if you want to pay him $16 million a year. Keep him for, hey, Kyle, do it one more year, then we'll talk long term. Okay, and then Caden Ellis, his brother is in the Super Bowl at New England, and the other brother was in the championship game with Denver. So, I mean, he might want to go play with his brothers. And, you can't beat that pool. And then you got to make a decision on Oyamata. You got to get bigger up front. Do you get bigger with him, stay with him and be older, or you go find some big young guys? So I'm with you, Ovie. Only one I would consider is Pitts at if I'm comfortable at giving them $16 million. And then, those guys too, their coordinator just went to Tampa Bay. So they can end up going down there. They're going to at least have one bidder. And all you need is 2 to drive up the price. So, but that'll give the new GM some freedom of movement to, give the scouting department a chance to go find some players to fit Coach Stefanski's scheme and how they want to move forward in those other position areas.
I love it. Bleav, before we let you go, is there anything that you could share with our viewers, our fans, our listeners regarding what's going on in the heart of the Falcons organization? We don't get a chance to be there for every press conference, every meeting, every interaction, and you're there more than anybody else. Is there something you can tell our fans, especially the ones who are a little bit uncomfortable with the state of the Falcons affairs? Some who may not like Stefanski, some who may feel like the OC is over his head. Some who feel like, and there's very few, but there are some who really think that Matt Ryan does not have enough experience to be the president of football, and it's going to be just another year of getting excited to get disappointed. Now, Mike calls me optimistic Ovie because I have nothing but hope. Like, I can't live my life being pessimistic and negative. That it wears on you, it ages you. So I want to hope, I want to believe, and frankly, because Matt Ryan was a friend, a teammate, somebody that I played with, Bleav in, I believe in Matt. I trust Matt until he gives me a reason not to. And I probably still gonna trust him then for a little bit. But what can you tell us about why people should, like the show says, believe in Falcons?
Yeah, no doubt. Matt is a quick learner. That was pointed out to me by the former coaches, and they believe he can do it. That's Coach Malarkey, Coach Trubisky, and I talked to some other coaches too that said, hey, no question, that's the worst, that's the easiest fix is that Matt Ryan's in control. And he knows football, and he's a quick learner. Wherever he's got to learn, he's going to do it. Sharp guy, and he'll be able to lead this franchise. Now inside, they're on the edge. They're jumpy. They get mad at tweets, and they're worried about what people are saying about them instead of worrying about what they got to do to win football games. So they've been losing for a while. So the stories are about losing. How are you going to change the culture of losing? They want to hear about Coach Stefanski's 2 Coach of the Year awards. It's like, okay, he got his 2 Coaches of the Year. He took the Browns to playoffs twice. That's true. But he's 45 and 56. That's true also. So how'd y'all get to him as the person to turn it around? But I mean, it's happened before. And if I was them, I'd have been saying, hey, Bill Belichick lost in Cleveland too. His next stop, he got it right. So that's what that's what the fans could give hope to, is that, I ain't saying he's going to be the next Belichick, but, sometimes things don't go right at the first stop. They get a second chance. For Raheem, his second chance didn't, it was 16 and 18 here. Robert Sala's getting a second chance in Tennessee. Maybe it'll go better for him. Coach Kevin's getting a second chance, and we're seeing a lot of guys get a first chance. Halfley in Miami, Jesse Minter, who I know his dad. He was the coach at University of Cincinnati when I was in law school there, and
Wow.
he had Mike Tomlin on his staff. He had Rex Ryan for 1 year as a defensive coordinator. He had John
Wow.
Harbaugh on his staff at the University of Cincinnati. So
Crazy.
yeah, Rick Minner, he helping
Crazy.
out his son. He'll be in Baltimore. They were at Georgia Tech. So, I thought Jess Minner was the hottest coach. He's going to, and Kubiak was the hottest coordinator. But Matt went with established coach. But the most established coach that was out there, they didn't talk to Mike McCarthy, who ends up with the Steelers. So, but Stefanski's a guy. He's got some good marks on the wall in Cleveland, and he's got some things that didn't, are not that comfortable. So maybe he comes here and gets all that stuff right, and gets it turned around, and gets the quarterback fixed, and they run the ball like y'all used to run the ball and dictate terms to people, and they play defense,
Yeah.
and then then it's a whole new vibe again back at the stadium like it used to be at the Georgia Dome. So that's the hope. That's the Falcons fans' dream, is that all this stuff works, and they're out dictating terms to people and not trying to react, or not trying to run a jet sweep on 4th and 1. To
Oh,
fooling
why? Why?
people. So you know what I'm talking about. Matt wants to play like that, so we'll know right away. The first time they go to 4th and 1 and they run a jet sweep, we'll be like, they're not ready yet. But Coach Bill Callahan, one of the best offensive mind blockers. I was in Wisconsin when he put that thing together for Barry Alvarez and Ron Dane and Brett Moss and all them kids. He's one of the great offensive line coaches out there. He's the modern day Alex Gibbs. So I'm really excited about the blocking. And if you like football, you better like blocking. So those are the exciting parts of what we see coming here to the Falcons, and the fact that they're going to put an emphasis on blocking and tackling and winning is key. That's key. That's key focus. Don't worry about this other stuff. Don't worry about who's throwing rocks at you and calling people and take this down and do that. Worry about winning. Do what you got to do to put a winning football team on the field, and then the stories get better. The 14-2 story is a lot better than the 4-12 story. So, and then everybody's happy.
Exactly. Exactly. So, hey, D-Led, that was beautiful. I learned something in that monologue about why people should believe in Falcons, because it's not easy when you see losing season after losing season after losing season after losing season. And we want to believe because it's more fun to believe that we can get it done. And you gave us some insight that I think everyone's going to appreciate. So thanks for hopping on. I know you out the Senior Bowl. Wi-Fi ain't the greatest, but you hopping on and sharing with us is much appreciated, brother.
Well, thanks a lot. And you tell Michael I said hello. I ran into him the night Raheem got fired, and we enjoyed each other. I told him I was getting near the end, and he gave me a pep talk and said, "Hey, keep going, Led. Keep going. You're the one getting the truth out there." So I was real inspired by Mike's pep talk that night. So tell him I said hello, and call anytime.
I will do, man. Mike T and me, myself, we appreciate you. Always see that D-Leg, good or bad, you tell the truth, and that is something that means a lot in Atlanta. So y'all, watch the show D-Leg some love. Appreciate y'all hopping on the call.
All right, thank you so much. You all take care. Thanks for having me on Bleav in the Falcons.